In today's society, do you ever feel like you're running a race and nobody told you where the finish line is? Like no matter what you do, it's still not enough. That's what we're gonna get into today. No scripts, no right answers, just real conversation.
This is DETV's Teen Summit, the group chat IRL. We've got our panel, we've got Dr. Ashanda, and we've got you. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to DETV's The Group Chat in Real Life, IRL. And this is Dr. Ashanda, and we are going to talk about social media. This impacts everyone's life. Sometimes they wake up in the morning, the first thing they are doing is checking their Instagram or their TikTok. And we want to understand how this balances with their mental health and what it has done and the impact it has on our young children, our young adults, and as they travel through their lives. So first, I'm going to start with Jalen. Tell us, what do you think the impact of social media has on mental health?
Yeah, so I really think it's how you use it. So we did a study, and over 80% of young people are saying they get their information from either school or social media. Those are the only two sources. Outside of that, what they're also saying is they get into comparison because with social media, you have easy access. So knowing that this is where a majority of young people are getting information, we actually use it as a tool. So we utilize social media to provide preventative education around mental health by the young people. So young people are putting out messages, they're putting out facts, and they're putting out affirmations to other peers. So we use it as a tool to kind of help us when it comes to mental health. But I think when this day and age, to your point, I'm guilty of waking up and getting on Instagram, and I'm also guilty of comparing myself to other people. But also understand that social media is just a micro shot of what people are going through. It's a 30-second clip. It's not their full journey or their full story. I would go as far as say most of it is fabricated, but it's all in what social media is, what people want you to know. And I think ingraining that into young people to say like, hey, you don't know if that's real or not. So, but also to answer your question, I really think especially with AI coming out, we have to learn how to use social media as a tool and not weaponize it. Yeah.
And some people kind of balance their worth based on their likes.
Absolutely.
So am I likable? Am I getting enough likes? Do I have enough followers? Yeah. Can anyone else tell us how they think social media impacts mental health?
I would say social media kind of brought out a side where like admiration is a new currency in a way. Like everybody wants to be admired now. And I think that it's exposing things that happens in everyday life, and it's just we're exposed to everybody else's lives and stories. And that is not always good as a young person because we kind of internalize other people's opinions or what we think it is. And I use this example with relationships, right? The war between men and women. As a young person, I don't think that's good for us to consume because we have a bunch of people that are adults having these grown-up conversations, 50-50 stuff that does not really apply to us at our age. Like, I don't have a house, I'm not paying bills, right? I'm 19, right? Yeah. But you're internalizing that and you're coming from that perspective when you're dealing with a young male. Yeah. When that has nothing to do with you, it's not your experience. And when we're consuming this kind of content every day, it just changes our perception on life and it becomes very self-oriented, right? So just like how you were talking about the family structure before, that's part of the reason why it's dying because so many people have different opinions and it's based off of their situation. Nothing is one size fits all when it comes to humans, right? Everybody's story is different, right? And when we're exposed to so much, it kind of just changes our perception on how things should be. And I think that's the bad side of social media. Now it can be good because it can be used as a marketplace. You can make easy money. Well, not easy money, but because content is not really easy, right? I think it's marketed as easy because it's like, oh my God, you're just setting your phone up and you're making a video. You gotta have some sort of pizzazz about you and be able to be a consistent person to really, make it when it comes to social media. And I just think it's something that's not valued as much, content creators, because it's becoming super oversaturated. And I also think going into the negative part of it, it could also create a false sense of everybody can be a boss. If we got a bunch of bosses, who gonna be the workers? Right?
Big boss.
In a sense of like conditioning, right? We are conditioning to believe that because it was on social media, it's true. I can give you countless times where my grandma will Google her symptoms and give me a whole diagnosis that she ain't been to the doctor.
Right.
I'm like, my mom, you don't got cancer. Stop looking at that. It's a headache, okay?
My God.
But it's very real. Like young people are literally going to social media, and now I keep bringing up chat and AI. Now you got Chat GPT, where hey, I had this relationship problem, or this person is bullying me. How should I respond? And they're getting information, easy information, versus going to those that are trained therapists and mental health professionals. So I think of it when you talk about the negative impacts. It's scary. Yes, it's positive as far as accessibility, as far as channel for communication, and we also have to see it as a form of conditioning. So whatever is put out there. Males, y'all brains are not done developing until you're in your mid to late 20s. By females, we just develop much more maturely, but y'all are constantly getting how you show up in a relationship, how you show up in the world, how you show up at job from social media. Yeah. So it is very much a place for positive and negative.
That was that. Well, this is my theory, and there's totally young ones out there because I got to protect them. I got to be on their side here. I think we got to stop changing things for what they are. Social media started by young people. It was started by college students. Like, a lot of people don't understand that concept. And I think every time, we go every historical thing. We go to SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, young people. Freedom schools, young people. Martin Luther King were young. Jesus was only 29 to 32. So I just want to let everybody know that. So I think a lot of times we took social media for what it was. It was a place for helping college students network. So I forgot, I think, and I think what happened was there's generational gap came into social media and started changing how we use it. It was never a marketing tool. It was a communication tool. And I think what we wound up doing is wasn't me, but the others weaponized it. And they went to, all right, how can we pull the most revenue streams from it? Because it wasn't about revenue. See, I was blessed to have social media, and I had social media. And I remember days not having social media, and I hated TV. Because TV was just social media before social media. The news, we believe the news. Now we find out everything fake.
I play this game called Flip the Coin. Okay. So what's what I do? I flip the coin. All right, heads. All right, let's start with heads. Let me tell you the good side about what I believe is the good side of social media.
Yes.
It makes the world smaller. We're able to connect with people, from across the world, and we're able to learn more things. We have so much more access to information. I think it's great for business. It's amazing for business. And in a lot of instances, like for me, I was able to connect with a whole family that I didn't even know existed. So there are some great things about social media. Flip the coin. Tails. Social media is the devil, okay?
Oh my God.
Here is the problem.
So the devil got some good things? I'm just saying.
That was good. That was good. So the thing is, part of the issue is too many people have a platform.
Yeah. Take the mics away.
Right, exactly. I believe that everybody deserves to have a voice, but I don't believe everybody deserves to have a platform for their voice, because everybody isn't responsible enough with their voice.
Right.
Everybody isn't intelligent enough with their voice. And when you have a lot of impressionable people listening to somebody who, because they have a platform, they immediately see them as a leader. They can feed them whatever they want to, and then you have this whole group of people that are just following somebody that's poisoning them.
Right.
And finally, I think the other thing that's the issue is, I see you getting ready. That's his devil's
I got
advocate
a
pose right
question
there.
for you when you're done, though.
Okay. And the third thing is, it's stopping us from knowing how to communicate, how to just speak to somebody.
For sure.
I agree, especially for the kids.
Right.
Because you have kids nowadays, and it's no shade, but can't read a book, but they know the latest TikToks, or they're looking at videos way beyond their age, and they're wanting to fit into that lifestyle. So we now have 18, 19-year-olds living a lifestyle that a 26-year-old or a 30-year-old is living, because they're seeing it on Instagram.
Right.
Our kids don't even have the same cartoons anymore. They don't even like the same things that we used to like. We used to walk around Injustice and like, you know, like.
Oh my God, that's an amazing point too. And I think the whole teen factor has left.
Yes.
I think there was stuff created for that teenage age before, right? It seems like now it just goes straight from child to adult. Things like Justice, OMG Girls, stuff that was curated for that, 13 to 17 age to where like you wanted to be a teenager. Now it's like you want to be 21.
And it kind of makes you think about the parental impact of it.
Right.
So what are we exposing our kids to early on that is now molding their brains?
And then I'll just even go one step further, right? How does that impact their self-esteem, right? And how does this impact their mental health, right? Because do they become anxious? Do I not look like everyone else, right? We talk about misinformation, but right now, they are putting restrictions on hours because children are spending so many hours on social media. They're not sleeping, right? And so then when they show up in the classrooms, right? What does that mean when they don't look like the other person, right? Or that person is using filters, and so they are distorted, and how does that impact their self-esteem, their confidence, right? How does that impact their agency, and just their whole empowerment? And so even in their education.
Yeah, I was going to say in our work, so especially our girls mentoring group, a lot of the things we focus on is identity. And a lot of the information that the girls have crafted about themselves have come from social media. I see this girl, she's wearing this, so I'm going to wear this. Yeah, that girl's twice your age also. So it's like, or I see her, she got, this degree, you're only 14. Like, so like having I think the subconscious pressure, we talked about pressure earlier, social media also provides a certain pressure that you have to be a certain thing. I'll give a quick example, and I really do want to hear, especially Anaya, just your age group. I remember scrolling on social media and I saw this young lady, she was getting all the accolades, like she was just doing her thing. And I started to feel depressed. Like I started to feel sad and hopeless. I'm like, I should be like, having this, I'm 25. And then like, it's like Holy Spirit, we talk about faith, Holy Spirit like gathered me respectfully and was like, she's in journalism. You don't even want to be a journalist. Why are you comparing yourself? You don't even like talking to people. I'm a very introvert, like at heart. So it's like, you can never navigate that space. And that moment really helped me navigate in future experience or future situations where I catch myself. It's like my lane, I think we were talking about this earlier, my lane is my lane. I have to figure out what is it good, what am I good at, what am I called to do, and literally tunnel vision. There is no other, there's no left. My brother used to say, plan B is to make plan A work. Plan C is to make plan A work. Plan D is to make plan A work. Just whatever you're called to do, that's where your focus should be. So I know I'd like and I really want to hear from you because I know you were one of the founders of Team Warehouse. Did social media play a role in that? How does that impact your mental health as well?
Yeah, for sure. So social media played a major role in, like, for instance, like the warehouse when we first opened it, like, because we had to obviously spread the word. This is a community center for teenagers. How are we going to get to teenagers? Obviously their phones. So like when it came to things like that, it was definitely beneficial. We like hosted events to get the warehouse started. The whole city turned out, got the place shut down, but it was amazing. Like it was a great turnout. It was needed. Yes, it was a great time. But then like, no shade me, I'm a big social media hater. Like no lie, just because of like the impact it's had on me and the impact I've seen it had on like the people close to me. Like currently right now, I'm not on social media. Like I still got my TikTok because need that. But yeah, like with me being off Instagram, I've had people text me like, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm fine. But like, I just need a minute. And my biggest thing with social media is like the parasocial part of it. Like, I feel like it's taken away from human interaction, human relationship. Like you texting someone behind a screen does not mean they're your friend. Does not mean they love you. Does not like, it's not real. Like, and I feel like it's taken away from the real life interaction that humans are meant to have. See one another, talk to one another, hug one another, like be in spaces like this. Like, and don't get me wrong, yes, it's great to text people and FaceTime them and things of that sort, but like, I just feel like it's completely erased how we are supposed to function as humans, like, and that's not good on especially young people's mental health, because they think this is the norm, and then they become adults, and this is all you've known your whole life. Now it's like
It is their norm.
you gotta take a step back from that.
And what I'll say is that, you know, especially with depression, right? Because when you start to see these images and you feel you don't measure up, right? How does someone feel inside? And how does that impact them like day to day, right? And so when we think about these very delicate subjects of suicide and how that correlates with depression and social media, and then just being an impressionable young person, right? How do we live in this world, right? If I don't measure up, if I don't have enough likes. I mean, often we can even say, just in a regular life, I can go to the restaurant and I can see a family and everyone's on their phones, you know? And so we see, and this is becoming normal, right? We've normalized this. So when we think about social media, we have to also think about depression and, you know, self-confidence and self-esteem and how that impacts our young people.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I want to comment on that too with, I see a lot of teens and young adults who use the Sean's House service, and a lot of them go through breakups, friendships are ending, life is happening at a fast pace as it does when you're a young adult, but this overload of information, not only do you know it's happening in your life, you know it's happening in everyone's life. And we talk about this concept of being an empath. When you have to care about yourself, but also you're getting information from everyone else, and you're feeling what they're feeling, and you're excited for people, you're sad for people, this can really create like this deregulation of emotions, right? How are we supposed to maintain how we feel if we can't even, you know, we can't control what other people feel, and we're having that shoved onto us constantly?
I think we talked a lot about like the comparison factor and how that plays, but also the channel of communication. I don't know if you guys remember maybe a couple years ago, but the big issue now is substance misuse prevention. Before it was bullying. Like a lot of the at least young, and I'm talking about young people with suicidal ideation as young as like 9 years old, elementary students. So, and a lot of this is happening, and you go to ask, well, what happened or what went wrong? Oh, someone said such and such. How did they say it? Oh, Instagram DMs. Or someone posted a picture of me and everyone's commenting, you know, bad things about me. Social media is also a gateway to evoke some of those mental health challenges through negativity, unfortunately.
And when you say suicidal ideation, what does that mean? So just to make sure we all understand.
So suicidal ideation is when someone is having thoughts of harming themselves or dying by suicide. So it is not necessarily they have a plan together, but they are having those thoughts come that they want to self-harm. That's what we call suicidal ideation.
What if we're looking at the solution and not the problem? What if the problem is social media consumption was replaced with parental consumption? And the question is it that the children are the problem, the children need to get off, but maybe we're looking at what's going on social media and not understanding and asking for help. I'm talking about a person like me that I didn't grow up like everybody else. I just didn't. And I learned that there was another side of the world from Facebook. I didn't learn that from my parents. I didn't learn that from the people from my community. But I also learned there was resources on Facebook for me to actually go learn. There's resources on Instagram. But even when I got those resources, didn't replace my parents. And I think a lot of times we're like, hey, get off of social media, instead of saying, hey, why did you post this? What made you think this way? Because I feel like we make people more suicidal mentally by judging them based off of the solution than the equation to the solution.
Devil's advocate here.
Thank you.
I always say parents do the best they can with the resources they have. If you are not in a trauma-informed space, you may not know what those signs look like. My mom didn't know I had suicidal ideation in 8th grade, where I had already planned. And if you look at me, I was a basketball athlete. I was in honors. I was fine at home, but there was so much that I internalized that I didn't vocalize. And my mom couldn't call that out. Mental health was not talked about in my household, let alone her household or the generations before her. So I think when we talk about it, is a village approach, right? We talk about the village. I think Delaware was noted as one of the first states to incorporate trauma-informed care. I think it's everybody's responsibility to take the initiative to learn, but I can't say it's the parents, it's just the parents of kids, because they really are doing the best that they can. That's why in art, even though we're youth-centered, we also have spaces where we educate parents as well. Here's how, and then I'll note this, and I promise I'll stop talking, because when we talk about depression, and a lot of times when we talk about depression and anxiety specifically, even clinicians, we're always taught to look for these signs. Look for withdrawal, look for sadness, look for signs of hopelessness, look for poor hygiene. What about the high functioning depressive or the high functioning anxiety who doesn't have any of those? They're still able to show up to work, they're still able to show up to school, they're still able to perform at home, and there are no external signs. And oftentimes you'll see them in your star athletes, you'll see them in your AP kids, and no one's asking, are you okay? Because there are no signs that there's anything different. So when we talk about trauma-driven achievement, what I'm studying, it's how are we caring for the people that do not show those external signs? And that's a whole nother lesson when we can go into historical, systemic, and institutional, trauma and intergenerational trauma. I won't go into today, but I think I tell the kids all the time, ask your strong friends, how are you? Ask everyone, how are you doing?
And even after we ask those questions, right, we have to have resources.
Yes.
And so when we think about resources, right, and Chandler, you talked about it briefly, but can you tell us more about Sean's House?
Absolutely, yeah. So Sean's House is a 24/7 mental health safe haven located in Newark, Delaware. We started our organization in memory of Sean Locke. Sean Locke was a Delaware kid, just like many of us on this panel. He played basketball throughout high school, went to University of Delaware, actually played in March Madness, and his life just started. He moved up to Philadelphia, had a job, had friends, and unfortunately he was dealing with depression and anxiety. He didn't show it to any of his family members, his friends. No one really actually knew what he was going through. He left a note behind to his family, and in it, he said, depression is real. Doesn't matter if you're the star athlete, doesn't matter if you're the theater kid, doesn't matter if you're a good student, bad student, depression can affect us all. In his memory, they started Sean's House, which is this organization where anyone can come in. 14 to 24 is our major age range. You can come in at 8 a.m., you can come in at 8 p.m., you can come in at 3 a.m., right? We're always open to support people and have these conversations. We're not therapists, we're technically peer supporters, but it functions as this gateway to receiving these resources. And I think this conversation about Sean's House and Sean's House as a resource makes me think a lot about community. Community is something that we lose a lot when we talk about social media, right? We have these online communities which can function as support, but they're not the same as having people in person that you can talk to, people that will check on you actively. And I just want to open this question out to the panel, and something we see a lot of people struggle with at Sean's House. How do we foster community in a healthy way that is in partnership with social media? How can social media not be the main source of community, but rather an additive, something that supports us and helps us reach out to our communities?
I feel like you could definitely leverage social media for a community.
Sure.
The biggest thing I've seen is I could be on Instagram or TikTok and I'm scrolling, I might like one sad thing. And now my story is full of a bunch of sad things and it's just so hard for me to just be happy again. And then I can, on the other side of that, I can go on there and I can search up something happy, or I can search up something like a new side hustle or a new career, or maybe a new social club that is in town that I can maybe connect with other young females like myself. So I feel like it's all about what is the content that you're putting out and what audience are you trying to attract. And then I feel like if we did leverage social media, they'll do the work for us. So it's all about just kind of knowing what content to put out to kind of draw in certain people, and that's how you'll build your community. I think that would be the biggest thing for me.
I think that some of that work also starts before social media, before we even get on there. I think so many issues with, and I wanted to ask you this too, if this was part of your issue, and I'm wondering if the same issue with the guy Sean Locke. the need for validation. See, that starts before you get to social media, you know, and then if you feel the need to be validated, and then you go to social media and you have all of these people that are giving this illusion that they are validated when they could be going through the same thing that you're going through, it adds this pressure to you mentally, emotionally. So I think a lot of this just starts before you even get to social media. What can we do to make sure that a person knows how to make themselves feel validated? You can't look outside of yourself for validation.
Can I add something? Because I know you're going to answer. So, and would you say, you said it's ignorant to say that it's the parents. So, okay.
Yeah, it's not ignorant.
We can't blame it fully on the parents. So, in your opinion, what are some other options out there if it's not the parents and we're not getting that support from our parents? Where else do you think the kids can kind of go before they go to social media, or where have you seen examples of them going before they went to social media that kind of had an impact on them and how they felt?
Yeah. So we talk about community, and I told you the two places that young people receive the most information that they identified was school and social media. So if not social media, school. So, and when I say school, I mean we need intentional programs in the school to be able to expose them to information and support system. So our program is actually in 6 schools statewide, and you talk about it starts with validation. What we do is we actually, before we do anything else, we educate the young people on what is mental health. What does that look like? And after you identify that, what are positive coping? How can you positively cope through depression, anxiety, grief? After you learn that, how can you support a peer that may be going through that? So we're giving them the language before we put them on social media. And then they self-identify projects. So now what we have is wellness ambassadors in the school where they're learning from their peers. They're getting support from their peers. So then, unfortunately, what we have is now young people going home and teaching parents, you know, but it is a village approach. And I want to touch real quick when you said validation for me, because I know you asked me about, did it start with validation? I was a straight A student. I'm a twin. So I was a straight A student. He was C's get degrees. That was his vibe. I remember in elementary school, every time I would come home and show my report card, they would be like, good job, that's what you're supposed to do. My brother would get a B and we're going out celebrating the dinner. So for me, it was, if perfect grades aren't good enough for you, what more do I have to do? So that grew into me chasing that validation from everywhere else. Now I'm 29 and in so much college debt trying to get a doctorate degree. But I can't say, I have to say some of that came from seeking validation. So I think what I'm intentional about in our programs with our youth or when serving youth is empowering young people, telling them that they matter, telling them that they're enough just where they are, giving them space to be, giving them space to be free. If I had any advice for a young person, it would be, one, I think adults need to be more honest. Start sharing your story, because young people really think that we haven't experienced anything, and we have. And with this whole like holding back, young people know authenticity. They yearn for authenticity. They actually want to hear your stories. And when they hear your stories, it unlocks something in them where now they feel safe enough to share their own. So that would be, find a trusted adult, someone that you really, really trust, and start to have those conversations. That would be. I appreciate that. No worries.
You know, what I'll say is, as we start to wrap up, you know, what I'm hearing is a common thread is I am enough. And how do we teach and foster that in our young people, but also kind of removing the stigma of mental health, or even seeking out help, you know, care, or even help, period. And then giving them the toolkit, right? Or how do they cope, right, in society, and how do they balance their mental health? So I'm gonna say one of my final thoughts for today is, you are enough. And I want everyone to give us their thoughts in terms of how we balance mental health, social media, striving to be successful, and how do we even balance that with validation?
I'll say to my peers, and I've kind of said the same thing a lot, I also want us to develop some sort of mental strength too. Everything is not the end of the world. I think sometimes we give up easily because, you know, we're in the thoughts of like, oh, I'm just sad, so I'm going to stay there. Or I'm depressed, so I'm going to stay there. You don't have to stay there. Life is full of ups and downs. Everybody has a story. Everybody has things that they've been through. But you have to try your best to move forward and live life for you. So I'll say that.
I think it all really starts, and this goes off that, at routine, right? If you have a routine of things that you can do every single day, you have goals and checkpoints that you can meet every single day, no day's a failure, right? You get to look back on that day and say, well, today I woke up. Today I went to the gym. Today I made myself breakfast. Having those little wins throughout each and every day, even though it's not, I won a Nobel Prize, I flew to the moon today, right? It's I went for a walk. I talked to my mom. I played with my dog. These little wins add up over time, and capitalizing off them and also incorporating them into your daily schedule, your weekly schedule, your yearly schedule is really just the key to maintain.
I think we need to spend more time loving ourselves. At that point, it doesn't matter what anybody else does or says. It doesn't matter what they post on social media. It's not going to affect you because you love yourself. And as you said, I am enough.
Mine's going to be a slightly different approach. But I would say get past the discomfort of healing. Healing doesn't feel good. Like, to be clear, I think we preach that healing doesn't feel good. There were times where I was at my lowest, where I knew exactly what I needed to do to be well. I didn't want to do it because healing was more uncomfortable than the depression was or the grief was. And I had to navigate being okay. And I think, to your point about validation, I deserve to be well. I deserve to be healed. And once I realized that, so I would say get past the discomfort of healing, but also say to yourself daily, even if you're feeling great, I deserve to be well, because you do. Everybody has mental health. Not everybody has mental wellness, but everybody deserves mental wellness.
I love that.
I think my final thought would be, it's okay not to know right now. I think a lot of times we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to try to figure out right away. But like you said, collect the emotions, get through the phases of completion. It's completion, not perfection. So just slow down if you are. Like one of my great friends was like, I'll say, right, I'll give him his credit. He's like, sometimes you just gotta be still. And I think sometimes if you're gonna do a depressed moment, just be still and do the numbers.
My final word or thought would just be like, it's gonna be okay. Like, and that's something I still tell myself each and every single day. Like, I lie to you, not like, I know the world sometimes seems like it's crumbling in front of you. You don't know which way to go, like, but it's gonna be okay. And kind of to piggyback off what AB said, like, enjoy the journey. And that's really, really, really what I'm working on right now, is just like enjoying the journey of life. Like, it's no rush to get to the finish line, like, or to get the $1 million and get the house and get the job and get, like, it's still gonna be there. There's still gonna be a house, there's still gonna be a job, there's still gonna be a car. It's like, right, put yourself first. Like, what do you need so you can get there? It's gonna be okay, but just know it'll be okay. Don't rush.
Yes, I think my final thought would just be to watch what you speak over your life. I've really learned that you have so much power in your tongue, and there's been so many times where I'm like, oh, I'm sad, or I'm depressed, or I don't feel good today, or, and those would be the emotions that I carry throughout my day. So now I'm walking throughout my day and I'm being sad, and these moments that are my present moments, I'm making them sad moments, instead of simply saying, okay, I might be feeling this way, but I'm not sadness. I have joy coming, or I have blessings coming, or different things like that. So I've just been watching my tongue a little bit, because what you speak, that's what you put into the atmosphere, and that's how your day is going to go. So just really like saying it's going to be okay, the world is not ending, and just trusting my own process and not comparing myself to anyone else. It's so easy to look at someone else and look at their life, and it might look so perfect, but you don't know what happened to them or what they had to go through to actually get there. Your story is never going to be linear. It's never going to be easy, but it's your story for a reason. So I think those would be my last thoughts.
So what I'll say today is that you are enough. You deserve healing, and your journey is your journey, and your journey is your unique journey through life. And sometimes your uniqueness is your superpower. So I want to thank everyone here today for joining us and having this really pivotal discussion about mental health, about growing up and just surviving and living and putting those daily affirmations. Just getting out of bed sometimes is enough. And that is what you have to say to yourself over and over. So thank you everyone for joining us on DETV, the group chat, live, IRL. We are out. Peace.